Listen to Nihar live on the BBC Asian Network, and we're talking about censoring of the new Bond movie Spectre in India, because what the Indian Film Board has done has taken out all the kissing scenes, because, my gosh, the last thing Indians need is to see kissing. I mean, let's face it, there's over 1 billion Indians, right? And it all starts with kissing. And before you know it, there's over 1 billion people in your country. So the way to stop that from happening is clearly to censor a Bond film. I'm not being facetious, how dare you? Anisha Bhavnani is a young Indian blogger, lives in India, but's in the UK right now. Anisha, good morning.
Hi, good morning. I'm just really busy laughing.
Well, that's how it all starts. That's why there's over 1 billion of you, Anisha, because you can't keep your hands off each other because of James Bond films.
I wish that was the case. Because, even if it were to happen, like, honestly, when two people are kissing on the road, they stop. But when you're answering nature's call on the road, there is no problem. So that really makes me wonder. But yes, with the James Bond movie, I'm actually not that surprised, because the censor board seems to keep doing this all the time now. But it's ridiculous. It really is, especially because in Bollywood movies, you have some really vile item numbers, but they're not stopped from being aired. So I really don't understand why kissing should ever be a problem.
Do you think this is because it's a Western film that it's been censored, and that somehow, because we have, wasn't Imran Hashmi known as the serial kisser because of the amount of kissing he used to do in films? So clearly there is not an issue with kissing per se. Is it a case of white people kissing that they have a problem with?
I actually didn't think about this. Now that you said it, definitely, because Bollywood movies tend to have some really racy scenes. And especially you have some South Indian movies that really, really go the distance. But I think it's a Western thing.
And tell me, Anisha, what is it that is undermining the morals of you and your friends currently in India? Because this is what this is all about, isn't it? And this is about undermining the kind of moral fibre of the youth of India. Do you feel as though your morals are under constant attack?
Definitely not, and probably they could be under attack because of what is happening, because they've been cut. Because when you're forcing this when you're actually suppressing artistic expression, you're basically suppressing your freedom to say anything, to be able to be free and to do anything. So I think that's definitely the case. And then you have politicians saying vile and vulgar things, and that's the one undermining my morals a lot more than definitely some movie where two people are kissing.
Yes, I can imagine. But Anisha, just to be very clear, you are against the Indian Censor Board getting rid of these kissing scenes?
Yes, definitely.
OK. Anisha, stay with us. Sanjeev has just called in from Nottingham. Sanjeev, good morning.
Oh, hello. Yeah, I just want to say I do agree with the Indian Censor Board taking the kissing scenes out, actually.
Why?
Well, the reason is, apart from the fact I think the kissing scenes in themselves should be deleted, but also it's the thin edge of the wedge, isn't it? Because once that film gets through, they'll be sending other films through that are a lot worse, and it will just gradually get worse and worse.
OK, so what do you think of people who are against what the Indian Film Board are doing then?
It's obvious they vote the same way on everything, don't they? The people that want these films, they're basically anarchists, aren't they? They want to cut down the Indian culture, our traditions. I mean, look, I was born in 1969. I've got through the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s without there being blatant kissing scenes in Indian films. It ain't done me no harm. So why do you suddenly think that we need it now? What's changed?
But there are kissing scenes in Indian films.
Well, there must be a reason why this one's being banned then, because this must be different from what's already out there.
Anisha, are you an anarchist?
Yep. No.
Well, they are really, aren't they? Because they vote the same way on every issue if you ask them. And
I'm sorry, you said...
It's all about it's all about Indian culture, isn't it, really?
All right, Anisha, let Anisha come back in. Anisha?
Yeah, you said Indian culture is being undermined, and I feel like you have a very rosy Western picture of Indian culture, because when you think of the gods we pray to, you have the Shiva Lingam, and have you? So we're praying to creation by a man and a woman, because that's what we're praying to. And then you're saying that kissing scenes should be cut out from movies, because I feel like that has absolutely nothing to do with Indian culture. Indian culture depends on how you treat women in the country. Indian culture depends on how elders are respected in the country. There are so many things, and they have absolutely nothing to do with a kissing scene in a film. Especially because you have Bollywood movies that tend to show extremely racy things, and I feel like there was definitely a lot of racy stuff even in the 70s and 80s. Maybe those movies weren't advertised or promoted as much, but this has been there for a while now. So I don't see why you say that.
No, I do agree with you to a certain extent. Some of the song items in those films in the 70s and 80s, they were quite racy, yeah. But the problem is that if you let this sort of thing in, what will happen is it will gradually get worse. Then the women will start saying, oh, we're being treated as sex objects in films. That's where it's going to lead to. We can all see where this is leading to. That's what my point is. It's not the kissing itself, but it's what's going to come later on. Because once you let one thing through...
I'm sorry, can you please elaborate on what's going to come later on and why women will be offended with it? Because I feel like that's a very sexist comment to make.
Bear in mind, Sanjeev, this is a family show, so you don't need to be too graphic.
No, well, we all know where it's going to, because the films will be getting worse. Once they put kissing in, they'll put something else in.
But there are already kissing in Bollywood films.
And there's even more than kissing already. Everything that could be shown has already been shown in Bollywood movies. A lot of it has already been shown, whether subtly or whether extremely graphically. It's happened.
Okay, so there must be something about this film or the way the kissing is done that's different. The Censor Board hasn't just picked on this film randomly. There must be a reason behind it. So, Nihal, have you got the actual judgment there or anything like that, the reasoning behind this?
I think that's very worth looking at, actually, and we will get that. Let's get that statement from the Indian Censor Board to find out why some reason James Bond kissing is different to Imran Hashmi kissing, for instance, because clearly that is happening. And also, as Anisha pointed out, Sanjeev, there are item numbers in Bollywood films with women not wearing much and men not wearing much, cavorting around with each other.
Yeah,
this is a thing, right?
That's right, I do agree with you, there are, and I don't agree with those scenes being in, but like I say, there must be something, why that scene's being deleted. There must be a reason, because they have to justify it, don't they? So there must be something different. I don't know, like you said earlier, it might just be because it's a Western film. I doubt that very much, because if that was the case, then they might have put up a fight about not letting in at all. So there must be something different about this scene or these scenes.
But does it not buy in? I mean, Sanjeev, India also, of course, censored, actually banned a documentary called India's Daughter, didn't it? Which dealt with rape cases and talked to people about their attitudes towards women. Surely in a free, open democracy, a mature democracy, you should be able to have conversations. You should allow grown-ups to make their own mind up about what they should and shouldn't watch, just like we have here, Sanjeev. Why is it that India feels that it can tell its people what to watch in a way that we're not told in the West?
Yeah, but all films have different censors, don't they? They all have their censor boards. It's just that because...
yeah, but they don't cut kissing scenes out of films.
No, but you've got to understand that the film censor board in each country is individual to that country, so they're guided by the moral and social fabric of that particular country.
People are having sex in India, Sanjeev.
Sorry?
People are having sex in India.
Yeah, I know that, but what I'm saying is that for years and years, in English films or in Western countries like America, England, for example, we're used to those scenes in films. India hasn't come that way so far, so they're guided by what the state...
I'm sorry, because
Anisha? Go on, Anisha.
Before I moved to the UK, I've lived in India for 18 years of my life. And I think it's wrong to say that India hasn't come that far, because I have definitely seen Bollywood movies that show a lot more. And I've gone through that. So I don't know how you can say that it's not part of like the moral or cultural fabric of India, because I feel like that's a point of contention. It's really subjective.
Well, we're speaking to Anisha, who's an Indian in the UK. Let's speak to Salil Acharya, who's a TV presenter and film producer who is in India. Salil, very good morning to you.
Hi, Nihal. How are you?
Very well, sir. Nice to speak to you. Now, Sanjeev believes, from the UK, of course, where he lives, that it's undermining Indian culture, these kissing scenes in films. As someone who lives in India and is involved in the media, Salil, do you agree with him?
I don't know what film Sanjeev has been watching. I don't know what documentaries about India that Sanjeev has been watching. Looks like he's been in another cocoon. No, 1 second. Let me finish up.
Wait, Sanjeev. Let Salil finish his point.
Two things. You have not watched Indian cinema in the last 40 years, for sure. Because if you knew who Zeenat Amanji was, or Raj Kapoor ji was, or even Neha Dhupia's Julie, what are you talking about? Forget the censor board. The censor board doesn't know its front from its back. Ashok Pandit has said that many times. Asha Parikh ji has said that many times. Sharmila Tagore has said that many times. It is a very whimsical board, which is why it is a butt of ridicule of every single Indian that is there in India. And there is no reason or logic. There's nothing called which is a more potent kissing scene. Are you trying to compare? Is Aishwarya Rai kissing Hrithik Roshan in Dhoom 3 not potent? For that in India also it was enough, but it doesn't make a difference. It's an illogical step that has been taken, and that's why they have been ridiculed no end in India. And there can be no other viewpoint to this. The point is, it's a sensibility. It's a sensibility, and the current censor board chief has his own issues, but he'll be out very soon as well. As they were, we've had 3 censor board chiefs change in the last 1 year. Some on bribery, some on corruption, some on their own taste. But the point being...
Wait, Sanjeev, wait 1 second. Let Salil finish his point. Sanjeev.
When you came on, I wondered why you straight away criticised the film board for being whimsical. You've just come on to make a political point. That's what you're doing, actually. You're not actually talking about the films.
I have come on to give the most obvious explanation.
Sanjeev.
1 second.
Sanjeev.
I've been involved
Sanjeev, I'm in control of this, and I will fade you down if you don't just give some space for Salil to make it. You had plenty of time to talk, and I gave it to you. Now, just have some respect for your fellow guests. Now, Salil.
Yeah. So the thing is, this James Bond film created a lot of controversy, obviously because they managed to cut the scenes down. But what it's also done is, as is the case in a number of films, more people have wanted to come and see this film. Now, what I hear is, because Monica Bellucci was in this movie, and because of the past that she has as far as the kind of fantastically racy films that she does. So the censor board went with a very different viewpoint for this movie and not saying that it's a Daniel Craig film. Because Daniel Craig has been an international sex symbol always. And in no other James Bond film have they ever, come down hard. But for this one, you know how it is, you carry baggage across to certain films. So like you said, Imran Hashmi's films, when you do watch his film, you do carry certain baggage and you say, oh, he is going to do this, so we'll allow this much. But I think that's just the general level of intolerance that is sweeping across India right now.
Okay, all right.
I know a number of political parties have come across and said it's not political, and I don't believe that it is not. I believe that a lot of it is, and that's why points are being made.
Okay, Sanjeev.
I don't take no notice of what this guy is saying. He needs to come on to make a political point just to criticise the film board. No matter what they would have done, he would have criticised them anyway. So his point is irrelevant. But what I'm saying, Nihal, is a few months ago, you did a radio show where a woman came on and they all said that we should have nudity in Indian films. So what I'm saying is, logically, that's what they're working towards. They're starting off slowly, and then they're going to eventually move to nudity in Indian films.
What's wrong with the naked body, Sanjeev?
Nothing's wrong with naked body, but why does it have to be an Indian film that you're supposed to be watching with your family? Why are you not so insistent?
Sanjeev, I don't sit my family down and watch the Saw movies.
Nihal, I want to butt in here.
Go on, Salil.
Grand Masti, which was shockingly apparently passed by the censor board without any cuts, made 134 crores in India. Sanjeev, are you listening? Yes, okay. Prem Vatan Dhan Payo, which is of course a complete family film, also makes about 150 to 200 crores. So if you're saying that the Indian public doesn't want to watch that film, where you're completely wrong. From the time of Murder, that's 10 years ago. And this is obviously, you should have done a little bit of homework before coming on to this kind of a chat. Because you obviously don't seem to know what you're talking about as far as Indian cinema is concerned. From the time of Malika Sherawat, in the last 10 years, the highest grossing Indian films have been films that have shown a large amount of sex in inverted commas without actually showing what there is. Even a film like Gangs of Wasipur, which is supremely successful, also showed so much of that. And that's what Anurag Kashyap has gone on record to say. It's not what I show. In fact, he didn't show much in that. He said it's what the Indian mind or the world mind has thought. And that's why the films in India and abroad have done so well. In fact, it was the official entry into Cannes, and it did so well abroad. So what are you talking about? And I have no personal agenda against any censor board. It's just a logical Indian speaking about a logical decision that has been taken.
Okay. Anisha wanted to come back, and then I promise I'll bring you back in, Sanjeev. Anisha.
I was just saying that it's not a movie. Sorry, Sanjay, you said that a film with Indian nudity, a film with nudity is not one that you would take your family to. But that's why ratings exist. That's why in India you have UA, which is something which is basically like PG-13, and you have A, which is restricted. That's the whole point of ratings. So you're not going to take a child with you, and I guess but then Salil mentioned that you don't even need ratings as long as you have common sense. You're not going to sit in a film with your family when it's showing nudity. I mean,
but Anisha, India. Why should India kind of indulge in a race to the bottom with the West in what is permissible? What is wrong with having an Indian film industry which celebrates good, wholesome family values and cross-generational viewing and doesn't decide to try to outdo the West at its explicitness? Why should India do that?
Yeah, Nihal, why are they so insistent in Indian films?
Let Anisha answer that question, and then Sanjeev, I'll bring you back in. Go on, Anisha.
I don't feel like it's a competition. I don't feel like they're doing it just because the West is doing it. I think it all depends on the audience that you're focusing on when you're making a movie. It all depends on which audience you do like which audience you want to watch your film. So so it's not like that audience that shows. I mean, that wants to watch explicit films does not exist in India. So I don't think it's a competition or it's a race that just because the West is doing it, we should do it. That's not the case at all.
Okay, and Sanjeev, come back in.
Nihal, you make a very good point. All they're trying to do is compete with the West. My point is, though, why are they so insistent on having Indian films? That's my question. Why are they so insistent on it? And also, when it moves to the logical step, when it goes to nudity, these same people that are phoning today will be the very first people on the radio to complain about how women are treated in Indian films. So you can't win, can you? Firstly, we're saying don't do this in Indian films, and they're not happy with that. When they have it in Indian films, they'll still be complaining. Then they'll find a reason why to complain then. All they're doing is using it as a stick to beat India with.
All right, Sanjeev, thank you. Anisha, Salil,